The warning sirens screamed across New Terra Colony at exactly 6:47 local time. Marcus Chin jumped from his bed, his heart pounding as red lights flashed through his window. In his 15 years as colony administrator, the emergency alarm had never gone off. Not once. He ran to his office barefoot, pulling on his jacket as he moved. The command center was already full of panicked faces staring at the main screen. What Marcus saw there made his blood run cold. 3 massive ships hung in the atmosphere above their colony. But these were not like any ships Marcus had ever seen. They looked alive. Their hulls were pale white, almost glowing, with surfaces that seemed to shift and breathe. Long wing-like structures spread from their sides, and each vessel was easily the size of a small city. "Sir, they're not responding to any of our signals," Lieutenant Rodriguez said, her voice shaking. "We've tried every frequency. They're just hovering there." "What are they?" Marcus asked, though part of him already knew. He had seen pictures in the Galactic Council databases. Dr. Sarah Okonkwo burst through the door, her tablet clutched in both hands. "Those are Vraxian matriarch vessels," she said breathlessly. "They're called White Death. Marcus, the Vraxians have never lost a war." "Never." Marcus felt his stomach drop. The Vraxians were legends across the galaxy. Dragon-like beings made of living crystal, they were older than most spacefaring civilizations. They rarely left their home systems, and when they did, entire planets surrendered immediately. "Why are they here?" Marcus whispered. The communication system crackled to life. The voice that came through was unlike anything human. It sounded like breaking glass mixed with a growl, struggling to form words in galactic standard. "Humans of New Terra. You have our children. Return them. You have 6 of your hours. Then we burn your world." The message repeated 3 more times before cutting off. The command center fell into stunned silence. "Children?" Rodriguez said. "What children? We don't have any alien children here." Sarah was already typing frantically on her tablet. 3 months ago, a Vraxian transport ship went missing near our sector. It was carrying something precious. The Galactic Council sent out warnings to all nearby colonies not to interfere if we found anything. "Did we get that warning?" Marcus asked. "Yes," Sarah said quietly. "I filed it." "But Marcus, no one reported finding anything." "I would know." Marcus looked at the screen where the 3 white ships waited like patient predators. 6 hours. They had 6 hours to find something they didn't know they had, or 4,000 colonists would die. "Send a message to everyone in the colony," Marcus ordered. "Every single person. Tell them what's happening. Tell them we need to know if anyone has seen anything unusual in the last 3 months. Anything alien. Anything that doesn't belong here." As Rodriguez began broadcasting the emergency message, Sarah pulled up more information on her tablet. "Marcus, you need to understand what we're dealing with. Vraxian hatchlings are incredibly rare. They only lay eggs once every 50 years. If there were hatchlings on that transport ship, they represent the entire future of whichever clan lost them. So they're not going to negotiate," Marcus said. "No," Sarah confirmed. "A Vraxian mother will kill anything that threatens her young. It's not a choice. It's biological programming. They can't stop themselves even if they wanted to." Marcus stared at the white ships on the screen. Somewhere in his colony of 4,000 people, someone knew something. They had to. The alternative was unthinkable. His communicator beeped. It was Jackson Torres, one of the deep mining foremen. The man's voice was tight with fear. "Administrator Chin? I think you need to come to my habitat. Section 7. Right now." "Do you know something about the Vraxian young?" Marcus demanded. There was a long pause. Then Torres said, "Sir, please just come. And bring Dr. Okonkwo. And don't bring security." Marcus and Sarah exchanged looks. They had 5 hours and 43 minutes left. Marcus and Sarah drove through the colony streets in silence. The habitat modules of Section 7 were on the far edge of the settlement, where the mining families lived. Marcus kept checking his watch. 5 hours and 30 minutes remaining. Torres was waiting outside his habitat when they arrived. He was a big man with rough hands and tired eyes. He looked like he had not slept in days. "Before you come in," Torres said, "I need you to understand something. I didn't steal anything. I didn't kidnap anyone. I saved them. They were dying." "Just show us," Marcus said. Torres led them inside. The habitat was small but clean. Family photos covered the walls. Marcus noticed the temperature immediately. It was hot. Very hot. "It's over 100 degrees in here," Sarah said, pulling out her medical scanner. "How can anyone live like this?" "Follow me," Torres said. He took them to a back room. Torres opened the door slowly, and Marcus heard a sound he could not identify. It was like music but also like the humming of crystal glasses. Beautiful and strange. Inside the room, 5 creatures lay on the floor around a young girl. Marcus stopped breathing. The creatures were the size of large dogs. Their scales were pure white, almost transparent, and caught the light like diamonds. Small crystalline spines ran down their backs. Their eyes were closed as they slept, but even sleeping they looked dangerous. Their claws were sharp and their teeth were visible. The girl sleeping among them could not have been more than 12 years old. She was thin, too thin, with dark circles under her eyes. But she was smiling in her sleep. "This is my daughter Emma," Torres said quietly. "And yes, those are the Vraxian hatchlings." Sarah immediately began scanning with her equipment. "How long have they been here?" 3 months, Torres said. "My mining crew found a crashed pod deep in the cave systems. The pod's life support was failing. The eggs inside were already hatching and the babies were dying. The pod must have crashed months before we found it." "Why didn't you report it?" Marcus asked, though he kept his voice soft. "The hatchlings might wake up." Torres pointed at his daughter. "Emma has Kellerman's syndrome. Do you know what that is?" Sarah looked up from her scanner, her eyes widening. "It's a neurological disease. It's fatal. The only treatment is on Earth and it costs more money than a mining foreman will ever have," Torres finished. "The doctors gave her 6 months. That was 4 months ago. We were just trying to make her last days happy." Marcus looked at the sleeping child and the dragon babies curled around her. "I don't understand. What does Emma have to do with the hatchlings? When we brought them here they were weak, barely moving. The pod's database had some care instructions, and my crew helped me make the mineral food they needed. But they weren't getting better. They were just existing," Torres explained. Then Emma asked if she could stay with them. She said they looked lonely. "And?" Sarah prompted. "And they got better. Almost immediately. They started eating more. Growing. They wouldn't leave her side. It's like they knew she was sick too. They keep her warm. When she has pain they make that sound and it helps her. She's lived 2 months longer than any doctor predicted." Sarah's scanner beeped. She looked at the readings and her face went pale. "Marcus, the hatchlings' biosignatures are synchronized with Emma's vital signs. I've never seen anything like this. It's like they're connected somehow." One of the hatchlings stirred and opened its eyes. They were pure white, glowing softly in the dim room. It looked directly at Marcus and made a low rumbling sound. The other 4 immediately woke up, positioning themselves between the sleeping girl and the strangers. "They're protecting her," Torres said. "They think she's their mother." Marcus checked his watch again. 4 hours and 52 minutes until the Vraxian ships started firing. "We have a problem," he said. Sarah moved slowly into the room, her scanner held out in front of her. The 5 hatchlings watched her carefully but did not attack. They stayed close to Emma, their crystalline bodies forming a protective circle. "I need to scan them properly," Sarah whispered to Torres. "Can you wake Emma? They might be calmer if she's awake." Torres knelt beside his daughter and gently shook her shoulder. "Emma, sweetie. We have visitors." The girl's eyes opened slowly. She looked confused for a moment, then smiled when she saw the hatchlings looking down at her. She reached up and touched the nearest one's face. It closed its eyes and made that strange musical humming sound. "Hi, Dad," Emma said. Her voice was weak but happy. "Are these people here about the babies?" "Yes, honey," Torres said. "This is Administrator Chen and Dr. Okonkwo. They need to check on your friends." Emma looked at Marcus and Sarah. "Are you going to take them away?" Marcus did not know how to answer that question. He had 4 hours and 40 minutes to return these creatures to their real mother, or everyone in the colony would die. But looking at this sick child holding on to these dangerous alien creatures like they were puppies, he could not find the words. Sarah saved him by moving closer. "I just need to scan them, sweetheart. It won't hurt. I promise." Emma nodded and whispered something to the hatchlings. They relaxed slightly and allowed Sarah to run her scanner over each of them. The results made Sarah gasp. "Marcus, look at this. They're not just healthy. They're thriving. These hatchlings are developing faster and stronger than any Vraxian young ever recorded in captivity." "How is that possible?" Marcus asked. Sarah pointed to her screen. "The temperature in this room is exactly 104 degrees. That's deadly for humans if exposed for too long. But Emma's disease causes constant fever. Her body temperature runs hot naturally now." "I don't understand," Torres said. "Vraxian young need consistent heat to develop properly," Sarah explained. But more than that, they need something else. They need to bond. She showed them another reading. Look at this. The hatchlings' heart rates are synchronized with Emma's. When her heart beats, their crystalline structures pulse in the same rhythm. Marcus watched as one of the hatchlings nuzzled against Emma's hand. The creature's body glowed slightly brighter when it touched her skin. Vraxian babies imprint on the first consistent heat source they find, Sarah continued. It's how they identify their mother. Emma has been the only constant presence in their lives. Her fever, her heartbeat, her touch. They bonded with her. They think she's their mother, Marcus said, understanding now. It's more than that, Sarah said, her voice full of wonder. Look at Emma's neural scans. Her disease should have paralyzed her weeks ago. But these readings show her nervous system is actually healing. Slowly, but it's healing. Torres grabbed Sarah's arm. What are you saying? The hatchlings produce a resonance frequency from their crystalline bodies. It's how they communicate with each other in the nest. But it's also how they keep their nestmates healthy. They're healing Emma because they think she's part of their clutch. Emma coughed, and immediately all 5 hatchlings pressed closer to her. Their bodies glowed brighter, and that musical humming filled the room. Emma's breathing eased. We can't separate them, Torres said firmly. It will kill her. Sarah checked her readings again. He's right, Marcus. Emma's vital signs are now dependent on the hatchling's presence. Her body has adapted to their healing frequency. Taking them away suddenly could send her into shock. Marcus thought about the Vraxian mother waiting in orbit above them. A mother who had traveled across the galaxy to find her children. A mother who would destroy an entire planet to get them back. But if we don't return the hatchlings, Marcus said quietly, we all die. Including Emma. Emma looked up at him with wise eyes that seemed too old for her young face. Then tell their real mother the truth, she said. Tell her we helped them. Tell her we love them. Marcus checked his watch. 4 hours and 17 minutes remained. Marcus stood in the central square of New Terra Colony. Every colonist was watching from their windows or on their screens. He had made the call to broadcast everything. If they were going to die today, at least the truth would be recorded. Above him, a beam of white light shot down from the sky. When it faded, she was there. The matriarchess Ratha was enormous. She stood at least 30 feet tall, her body covered in translucent white scales that looked like living diamonds. Her wings spread wide, casting shadows across the entire square. Her eyes glowed with white fire, and when she breathed, frost formed in the air. 20 smaller Vraxian warriors materialized around her, their weapons already raised and humming with deadly energy. You have one chance, human, Ratha said. Her voice was like an avalanche. Where are my children? Marcus stepped forward even though every instinct told him to run. They are safe. They are healthy. But before I take you to them, you need to understand what happened. I understand that humans stole them, Ratha growled. The temperature in the square dropped 20 degrees. Ice crystals formed on nearby buildings. That is enough. We didn't steal them, Marcus said. We saved them. He told her everything. About the crashed pod in the caves. About Torres finding the dying hatchlings. About Emma and her disease. About the choice Torres made to bring them home instead of leaving them to die alone in the dark. Ratha's rage only grew. You contaminated them. You touched them with your alien hands. You poisoned my bloodline with human presence. This is the greatest crime in Vraxian law. They were dying, Marcus said again. Would you rather we left them to die? I would rather you never touched what was not yours, Ratha hissed. Flames began to gather around her claws. Sarah stepped forward holding her tablet. Please just look at the medical data. The hatchlings bonded with a human child. Separating them now could kill them all. Lies, Ratha said. Humans always lie when they are cornered. Torres walked out into the square then. His wife held his arm, crying. Take my life instead, Torres said. Kill me. But let my daughter and your children live. Ratha looked at him with those burning white eyes. You will die regardless, human. You and your entire family. You touched my children. In Torres's home, Emma heard those words through the broadcast speaker. She was supposed to stay in bed. The hatchlings were supposed to keep her safe and warm. But she heard a man threatening her father. She pulled the medical tubes from her arms and stood up. The hatchlings immediately grew agitated, making worried sounds. Come on, Emma whispered to them. We have to go help Dad. She walked out of the habitat. She should not have been able to walk at all. Her disease had destroyed most of the nerves in her legs months ago. But the hatchlings walked beside her, their bodies glowing, and somehow her legs kept moving. It took her 10 minutes to reach the central square. Every step was agony. But she did not stop. The crowd gasped when they saw her. A dying child walking with 5 white dragon babies following her like devoted pets. Emma made it halfway across the square before her legs finally gave out. She collapsed onto the cold ground. The hatchlings immediately surrounded her, pressing their warm bodies against hers. They began that musical humming sound, louder than Marcus had ever heard it. Their bodies glowed so bright it hurt to look at them. They were protecting her. Even here in front of their real mother they chose Emma. Sratha stared at the scene before her. Her rage seemed to freeze in place. She took a step closer, then another. She could see her children clearly now. Healthy, strong, beautiful, and absolutely refusing to leave the human child's side. Impossible, Sratha whispered. Sratha moved closer to the small group on the ground. Her massive clawed feet made no sound as she approached. The Vraxian warriors tensed, ready to defend their matriarch, but she raised one wing to stop them. She knelt down beside Emma and the 5 hatchlings. This close, Marcus could see that Sratha's eyes were not just filled with rage. There were tears there too. Crystalline drops that froze as they fell. "My children," Sratha whispered. She reached out one massive claw toward the nearest hatchling. The baby dragon looked at its true mother for the first time. It made a small chirping sound. But it did not move away from Emma. Sratha's body began to glow. A pale blue light spread from her chest across her scales. Sarah recognized it from her research. It was a Vraxian bioscan, far more advanced than any human technology. The matriarch stayed very still for a long moment. When she finally spoke, her voice was different. Softer. Full of wonder. "The human child is dying," Sratha said. "Yes," Taurus said, his voice breaking. "Please. I know we broke your laws. But she's just a little girl. She only wanted to help them." "You do not understand," Sratha said. "She is dying, but my children are healing her." Sarah stepped forward eagerly. "Yes. That's what my scans showed. The hatchlings produce a healing resonance. They're repairing her nervous system." Sratha looked at Sarah, then at Marcus, then at all the humans watching. "In ancient times, when my people were hunted by creatures larger than us, we sometimes had to hide our eggs with other species. If those species raised our young with true care, we called them nestkin. Family. But that was thousands of years ago," Sratha continued. "No species has successfully bonded with Vraxian young since then. We thought it was impossible now. We thought we had evolved beyond it." She touched the nearest hatchling gently. It leaned into her touch but stayed pressed against Emma. "My children have imprinted on this human child," Sratha said. "They see her as their clutch mother. Their sister. Breaking that bond now would damage their minds forever. And it would kill the girl." Marcus hardly dared to hope. "What are you saying?" Sratha stood tall, her wings spreading wide. Her voice rang out across the square, loud enough for everyone to hear. "I declare Emma Torres of the human colony New Terra to be clutch mother to my children. This is a sacred bond that cannot be broken." The crowd gasped. Torres fell to his knees crying. "The hatchlings will remain with Emma until they reach maturity," Sratha announced. "The Torres family will come to my homeworld as honored guests. Emma will receive the finest medical care while my children complete their growth. When they are adults they will choose their own path." She looked directly at Marcus. "And New Terra colony will be under Vraxian protection. Any who threaten this world threaten my children's nest. They will face the full might of my fleet." Sarah helped Emma sit up. The girl looked at the towering dragon with tired but grateful eyes. "Thank you for letting me keep them a little longer," Emma said. "They're really wonderful babies." Sratha's expression softened in a way Marcus did not think possible for such a fierce creature. "No small one. Thank you for saving them when they needed you most." 6 years later, Marcus stood in the same square watching the sky. Emma Torres, now 18 and completely healthy, flew overhead on the back of one of the white dragons. The other 4 flew beside them, their crystalline scales shining in the sunlight. The Galactic Council had changed humanity's status from a minor species to a protected people under Vraxian alliance. Other species now looked at humans differently. Not as warriors or conquerors but as something perhaps more valuable. A species that would save dying children, even when those children belonged to the most dangerous predators in the galaxy. Marcus smiled. Humanity had found its place among the stars not through violence or technology, but through the simple act of caring when it mattered most.